Hello everyone, I'm your instructor, Al-Akraa. Today actually we're going to talk about your assigned book, especially the first 5 chapters, which I give it to you as a homework. So please don't panic. It's just like simple chapters in this book. We're going to use this books, for example, when we try to use multiple choice اللي هي سؤال الخيارات, for example, in the test. Okay, or it's just like a matching اللي هي مثلا شلون تختارها على حسب الإجابة الصحيحة. So the first unit is just talking about the introduction, and I'm sure that everyone like to know how to introduce himself or herself like in English. Usually like introduction, you have to be very careful to use the appropriate phrase in formal and informal setting. Formal, I mean like, okay, how to introduce yourself formally, like for example to someone the first time that you meet, or someone is like higher than your social status, or even like elder than you. And like informal is like, it's just like, for example, introduce yourself to some people in the same age of you, or even like student with you. So the whole unit is just talk about how to introduce yourself. So if you see here, it's just use like, for example, you have first of all like to start a greeting. What's mean greeting? As you know, like a greeting is just like a tahiyyat. So you have to start before they just like come directly and say, hey, my name is blah blah blah. So here you have to be very careful that to greet with the other people's, okay, in appropriate way. Okay, it's depending on the time. If like, for example, sometimes the greeting is depending on the morning, or like evening or afternoon. Okay, and then start to introduce yourself by mention like your name. For formal setting, you have to mention like your first name and last name, and also your like a job title. For example, I'm a student, like for example in biomedical engineering department, or you have to give like more brief about yourself. So like in a grammar spot here, if you say here, it just like is like how to use, for example, the appropriate abbreviation, الاختصارات, which is, I'm sure that most of you know. And here they use the dialogue. It's just like how to introduce yourself. Usually like in introductions, you have to be very careful, because you have to use the appropriate phrase to represent like yourself in a careful way. For example, nice to meet you after introducing her name, or like, for example, it is honor to meet you. It is honor to meet you, or it is a pleasure to meet you. So all these phrases is just, we say it for the first time introduction. And this is the same thing. Okay, sometimes like informal setting, like for example, if you meet someone in your age and in the same, like for example, maybe a party with some friends, or maybe like for example in the class. So just sometimes for the first meeting you can use hi, how are you, or just like for example say what's up, which is, this is, we use it specifically informally. But for formal setting you have to be very careful. And here like to use the appropriate in grammar spot, how to use the appropriate auxiliary verb, which is I am, or is, or are. Okay, it's depend on like the appropriate subject that you use. Yeah, so this is, as you say, is just like to use the everyday phrases. Okay, how are you, how you doing, and use like the greeting according to the day. So it's just give like very briefing. So for the first unit, it's really important that you know the phrases that you use every day. I will post it like a YouTube video about it, so don't worry about this unit. And I'm sure it is really simple to use, just like give like introduction. And for unit 2 is just here is talking about your world. So how to talk about your nationality. جنسيتك. Okay, so it's very important that you have to say your nationality in a correct grammar and pronunciation. So I recommend you like to use these countries and put it like in as a nationality. For example, Egypt, which is مصر, if I say Masri, what we say Egyptian. Like United States is American. So here is just like you put the appropriate suffix at the end of the word of the country to give the nationality. Here is talking about the same thing, which is really simple, but we have to be careful. For example, how to say appropriate way, like where are you from? Where are you from here is to ask where are you originally coming from. For example, you live in Baghdad, so say where are you from? Okay, I'm from Baghdad. And if someone live like in USA, so say where are you from? Usually say the state. Okay, but where I'm from, it doesn't represent anything, just where are you originally live, which country or which state or which governorate that you come from. Okay, this is just like they give you like a really brief reading and speaking. I want you just to read it to see the structure of the like for example the sentences, but it doesn't really, you have to remember this is just like to practice. And for unit 3 is all about you. Usually when you talk about yourself, so that means what you talk either about your profession, your job, your work, what you are specialized in, or also to talk about where do you live, and sometimes we talk about our family. So which like appropriate tense that we need to use is the simple present. Why? Because you are talking about the fact about yourself, or you talk about represent a statement about yourself. So that is why you have all the time to use the simple present. Simple present, as you remember, is talk about like facts, about routine, and about statements. So here you are talk about a fact about your life, about your job, about your, for example, about your address, about your hobby. So that is why we use the simple present. This is the same thing like a friend space. And here is just like they give like for example the first name, the country, the address. When you give address, you have to give a number, not only like for example I live in Baghdad. No, you have to give the address, the number of your district or the number of the street, and then you give actually more details about the country. Okay, this is just show like how to use it. Okay, the same thing here, like for example when you try to talk about yourself. Okay, so you have of course to talk about these little information about, for example, first name, surname here. Maybe like in Iraq especially, because we are coming from tribal communities, use the last name, which is like the tribe community. So the surname is mean here, yeah, the last name. And the country, where are you originally from, the city, the phone number, the age, the job, and the, like for example the social status, if you are married, single, widow, divorced, whatever. And this is here is just to show like how to use these, what we already read in a grammar spot, and how to use it like in a conversation. For chapter 5 is just like a family and a friend. And here how to use the appropriate like a pronoun. You know, like we have like a different type of pronouns. We have like a subject pronoun. We have, for example, we have like object pronoun, and we have possessive pronoun. I will post it like some information about the pronouns and some grammar hints as a document in Google Classroom. For example, here, for example, if I say she is married, so she is the subject. But if I say, for example, this is her family, this is a possessive pronoun. Here, this is the pronoun, and family here is like is just to show, like for example, the noun. So his family is just give a possessive pronoun with noun. But if I say, for example, um, for example, he is with her. Her here the object. So it is the same thing. It's like how to practice by using the appropriate pronouns. I will recommend you like to answer the questions on page 26. These 5 chapters is really simple. It's just like like a basic grammar. So usually we use it like to use like a conversation questions. But for example, for the grammar that we need in academic writing, I will post it like a word on a word, actually, the whole document that you need, or the whole information that you need. So in chapter 5, which is the last chapter in our homework for this week, it's just like use the simple present or present simple. You can use both names. Okay, this is, of course, as I said, is when you talk about routine, so it's use the simple present. For example, when you talk about your daily routine, use the simple present. And as you know, like the simple present is just like to use the subject and the like the verb with third singular s if we are talking about single. But if I talk about like plural, if I talk about I, so we don't need to add it anything for the verb. The verb is gonna be like a base verb. So here, for example, the typical question that when we talk about, for example, where do you come from? Here, I'm asking why. I'm asking about facts. Where you originally come from. So I come from Scotland, okay? And do you live in Dundee here? So it's just like a typical question. I'm just trying to give like to take information. So usually when we say no, I don't, or for example, yes, I do. Basically, we use the auxiliary verb do when we try to negate, ninfi, and we use does when we try to negate, okay, with the singular like pronouns or the nouns, okay, and when we try to ask, we use do or does, he or she or whatever. Okay, yeah, so here is a very basic vocabulary, and we don't need to read it. We need just to focus on the grammar spot, and also we need like to be very careful when we use the appropriate tense. So I hope actually that you understand what these like chapters talk about. I will post some activities about like for example the phrases that you need to like to introduce someone, okay, or to introduce yourself to someone, and also the basic grammar that you need. And also I posted on Google Classroom the PowerPoint for the steps of writing an academic paragraph. Please just see the PowerPoint and see the videos, and let me see if you have any question or concern. Good luck. Thank you.